A Good Burglar by O. Henry. The place was North America. The year was 1900. Jimmy Valentine was in prison. He was prisoner number 9762. Jimmy had been in prison for 9 months. He wanted to get out of prison, and his friends were trying to help him. His friends were talking to important people about him. One day, Jimmy was making shoes in the prison workshop. A guard came into the room. "The warden wants to talk to you, 9762," the guard said. He took Jimmy to the warden's office. "Valentine, you're a lucky man," said the warden. "You have powerful friends. The government has given you a pardon. Tomorrow you will be free. Listen to me, Valentine. You're not a bad young man. Don't come back to prison. You can change your life. You must live honestly now. You mustn't steal any more money. Stop burgling. Stop safe cracking." "I'm not a safe cracker, sir," Jimmy said. "I've never cracked a safe in my life." The warden laughed. "Who cracked that safe in Springfield?" he asked. "Didn't you do that job?" "Springfield," Jimmy replied. "I've never been there in my life." "Take him away," the warden said to the guard. "Bring him here at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning." Early the next morning, Jimmy was standing in the warden's office again. A prison clerk gave him a railroad ticket and $5. The warden shook Jimmy's hand. Then prisoner number 9762 became Mr. James Valentine. He walked out of the prison into the sunshine. Outside the prison, the birds were singing. But Jimmy did not listen to them. He went to a restaurant and he had a good meal, a chicken and a bottle of wine. Then he got on a train. 3 hours later, Jimmy got off the train at a little town in Illinois. He went into a small bar and shook hands with the owner. "Mike Dolan," said Jimmy. "How are you?" "I'm sorry, Jimmy," said Mike. "We tried to get you out of prison sooner, but the Springfield police made trouble for us. Here's the key to your room." Mike gave him a key, and Jimmy went upstairs to his room. He unlocked the door and he went inside. Nothing in the room had changed. Nobody had been inside it for 9 months. The police had arrested Jimmy in his room. Jimmy had fought them, and one of Ben Price's shirt buttons had come off in the fight. The great detective's button was still on the floor of the room. Jimmy Valentine smiled. Then he pulled a dusty suitcase from behind the bed. He opened it carefully. Inside the case was the best set of burglar's tools in the United States. Jimmy had paid $900 for them. He had made some of the tools himself. Half an hour later, Jimmy went downstairs again. He was wearing smart clothes and his suitcase was clean and bright. "Are you going to do another job?" asked Mike. "Me?" said Jimmy. "A job? I don't understand you, Mike. I sell biscuits. I'm a salesman for the New York Cracker Company." Jimmy laughed. Mike laughed too. 1 week later, there was a burglary in Richmond, Indiana. The burglar took $800 from an old safe. 2 weeks after that, somebody stole $1,500 from a new safe in Logansport, Indiana. Then $5,000 disappeared from a safe in a bank in Jefferson City, Missouri. Ben Price investigated these 3 burglaries. "Jimmy Valentine is working again," he said. Ben Price knew all about Jimmy Valentine. Jimmy worked alone, and he traveled many miles between jobs. Jimmy moved fast, and he enjoyed good clothes, good food, and fine wine. "I'll catch him," the detective said to himself, "and next time he'll stay in prison. Next time there will be no government pardon for him." One afternoon, Jimmy and his suitcase arrived at the little town of Elmore. Elmore was in Arkansas. The town was 5 miles from the nearest railroad station. Jimmy walked along Elmore's main street. He was young. He was handsome. He wore good clothes. Not many young men in Elmore were as good looking as Jimmy Valentine. A beautiful young lady walked along the street towards him. Jimmy Valentine looked into her eyes and he fell in love. The young lady's cheeks became red. She passed him. Jimmy turned and watched her entering the Elmore Bank. A boy was playing in the street outside the bank. Jimmy gave the boy a coin and asked him some questions about the town. After a few minutes, the young lady came out of the bank. Jimmy gave the boy another coin. "Who's that young lady?" he asked. "She's Miss Annabel Adams," replied the boy. "Her father owns the bank." Jimmy walked to the Planters Hotel and he asked for a room. "My name is Rolf D. Spencer," he told the hotel clerk. "I want to start a business here. Is there a shoe store in Elmore?" "No, there isn't a shoe store here," the clerk replied. "This town needs a shoe store. You'll like Elmore, Mr. Spencer. The people here are very friendly." "I'll stay for a few days," said Jimmy. "I'll look around the town." "Do you want someone to carry your suitcase up the stairs?" asked the clerk. "No, I'll carry it myself," Jimmy replied. "It's very heavy." Mr. Rolf Spencer stayed in Elmore. Soon he owned a small shoe store in the town. The store was successful. People liked Mr. Spencer and they respected him. He made many friends and soon he met Miss Annabel Adams. At the end of the year, Rolf D. Spencer and Annabel Adams were engaged to be married. Annabel loved Rolf Spencer and she was proud of him. And her father, the owner of the Elmore Bank, liked Rolf very much too. The Adams family often invited him to their home. One day, 2 weeks before the wedding day, Jimmy was sitting in his room at the Planters Hotel. He thought for a while, then he wrote a letter. It was a letter to a friend in St. Louis, Missouri. The letter read, "Planters Hotel, Elmore, Tuesday. Dear Billy, please meet me at Sullivan's Bar in Little Rock, Arkansas next Wednesday night. I want to give you my tools. I'm an honest man now. I've got a nice shoe store in this town. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to marry the best girl in the world. She believes in me. She trusts me and she's proud of me. I'll never do another wrong thing. Please come to Sullivan's Bar. I'll bring the tools with me. Your friend, Jimmy Valentine." The next morning, Ben Price arrived in Elmore. The detective talked to many people. He asked them about Jimmy Valentine. Nobody in the town knew Jimmy Valentine, but everybody talked about Rolf D. Spencer. Soon, Ben Price started to watch the owner of the shoe store. "Jimmy, you're going to marry the banker's daughter," the detective said to himself. "That's very interesting." On Tuesday morning, Jimmy had breakfast at the banker's house outside the town. "I'm going to Little Rock today," he told the family. "I want to buy my wedding suit, and I want to buy something nice for Annabel." "I want you to see something at the bank first," said Mr. Adams. After breakfast, they all walked into the town together. Mr. Adams, Jimmy, Annabel, and Annabel's sister with her 2 little girls. They stopped at the Planters Hotel, and Jimmy brought his suitcase from his room. Then they all walked on towards the bank. Inside the bank, Jimmy put down his suitcase. Annabel tried to lift it. She laughed. "Ralph, your case is very heavy," she said. "Yes, my dear," Jimmy replied. "There are lots of heavy shoes in it." Mr. Adams took his family and Jimmy behind the high railings into the banking room. Elmore Bank had a new strong room. Mr. Adams was very proud of it. He wanted to show the new strong room to his family and to his friend Rolf Spencer. "Some men from a company in Little Rock built it," Mr. Adams said. "They finished it yesterday." The strong room had a very thick steel door. There was a special lock on the door, a combination lock. The banker explained about the lock to his friend. "This is a combination lock," he said. "There isn't a key. The numbers on those 4 knobs unlock the door. But we mustn't close the door. I haven't chosen the numbers for the combination." Everybody was interested in the strong room. The 2 little girls, May and Agatha, loved the shiny metal door. They loved the big shiny handle, and they loved the knobs with numbers on them. Ben Price had seen the banker's family enter the bank with Jimmy. After a few minutes, the great detective followed them into the building. Ben Price looked through the railings into the banking room. "Good morning, sir," one of the clerks said to him. "Do you need some help?" "No, thank you," said the detective. "I'm waiting for someone. I'm going to meet a friend here." Behind the railings, Annabel and her sister suddenly screamed. May, the sister's older child, had closed the door of the strong room. Then she had turned all the knobs, but the other child, Agatha, was inside the strong room. Mr. Adams ran to the steel door. He pulled the big handle. I can't open it, he shouted. Nobody has chosen the numbers for the lock. Oh, what shall we do? Annabel's sister asked. There isn't much air in the strong room, Mr. Adams said. I must send for a man from the lock company, but the company is in Little Rock. Agatha's mother screamed again. My darling will die. Mr. Adams' face was white. Please be quiet, everybody, he said. Then he shouted through the thick steel door. Agatha, he shouted. Agatha, listen to me. We'll get you out of there soon. The child was alone in the dark, strong room. She was only 5 years old and she was very frightened. The family heard her crying. Please do something, Annabel cried. Jimmy looked at her for a moment and said, Annabel, please give me the rose from your dress. Jimmy put the rose in his coat pocket. Then he took off his coat and he pulled up the sleeves of his shirt. And suddenly Rolf T. Spencer, the owner of the shoe store, became Jimmy Valentine, the safecracker. Everybody must move away from the strong room door, he said. Jimmy lifted a suitcase onto a table and opened it. Quickly and carefully, he took out the strange, shiny tools. He sang quietly to himself. Everybody watched him. Nobody spoke. After a few minutes, one of Jimmy's special tools was cutting into the steel door. After 10 minutes, he had cut out the locks. And 1 minute after that, Jimmy pulled the big handle and the door opened. Little Agatha fell into her mother's arms. The child was frightened, but she was not hurt. Jimmy Valentine had cracked the strong room door in less than 15 minutes. It was the fastest job of his life. Jimmy put on his coat. He walked through the banking room towards the street door. He heard a young woman's voice behind him. Rolf, come back! But Jimmy did not turn round. A big man was standing in front of the door. It was Ben Price. Hello, Ben, said Jimmy. You have found me. I won't fight you this time. Arrest me. Take me away. I don't care any more. Ben Price looked past Jimmy. He looked at Annabel. He looked at the mother and the children in the banking room. They were all crying quietly. You have made a mistake, Mr. Spencer, the detective said. I don't understand you. Then the great detective turned and walked out of the bank.